key. Right, blues. I just was started thinking about all the stuff I can think about blues, and I thought I would get it down in a little video of tips and tricks and all kinds of things I've thought about over the years. Now we can start in E because I was just messing around in E. So let's do that then. Yeah, I think that would be adequate. So if we're in E, we've got our E dominant 7, which is an E chord, but we remove our third finger, which leaves an open D string. Nice. And we'd like to give it a little. So that chord progression is your E dominant 7, A dominant 7, which is an A chord, but you leave an open G string. And then B7, which is 2, 1, 2, open B, and then a 2 on the E string. But if you want to keep it simple, you can just go, what? And give it one of them to bar the second. Now, some of the licks I'm doing, I'm going to go through in a sort of standard pentatonic way, but let's go for the open string. That's a nice one. 2, 3, 2 on the G string. Open G string. When I pick, I only pick once. And maybe I pick it on when it goes down to the 2 on the D string. Boom, 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 boom. Pick and pick, can pick and pick, can pick and pick, can pick and pick. Then of course we're just going down the pentatonic scale. Which is 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0. And make sure to bend that 3. Right, now we're talking. So we've got a little bit of that. Now when we go to our A, now what I did there was a little now what I'm doing is I'm essentially doing the same lick but upper string. Rather than, okay. Right. Now this leads me on to the exact reason I wanted to start this video, because I started thinking about this. When you're playing the blues, you're playing in 7th chords, which are essentially they're a major chord but with a minor 7th. Don't worry too much about the theory of that, but what that means is you're playing essentially a major chord, happy, but you're playing a minor. that means is that essentially when I'm playing the E, I'm playing your E minor. But when I'm playing an A, now I want to be playing in an A, right? So now we could be going. And then, so everything I'm doing, I'm modulating. Now, rather than think about the chords that are going underneath, and then, okay, that's an E, I'm going to play an E, and now that's an A, now I'm going to play an A, and now that's a B, and now I'm going to play an B. You could do that. You could move all around the thing. But one trick I just love to do when it moves from the E to the A, or from whatever key you're in, but you know, the first chord to the second chord, is just play the same lick, but upper string, because that's all that's happening with the chords. We got. All that's happening with the chords is they're going upper string. So all we've got to do with our lick is go upper string. We're going to go. And then back down the string. So now we're like modulating with the chords, and it's, you know, really interesting theory and jazz and all that nonsense, but without any of the theory and the jazz and all the nonsense, you know what I'm saying? This is just how the blues players were doing it, you know, so. Or whatever you want to do, you're right. So that's a pretty cool idea. So that's one thing, that's just one idea. Another idea is pre-bending. Now, rather than what we could do is just start with the thing already bent. Now this takes a little bit of skill and a little bit of practice, because you want to bend at the right note. So with blues you can get away with this a little bit. So we're on the 14 of the E string now. You want to bend to that note. The 12 on the B string. If you bend over, dreadful. If you bend under though, you can get away with it because it's blues, and that's the blues note. That would be the 15th. So you could go, or you can go, but you do not want to go, right? So just try not to bend too far up. Now this leads me on to the ultimate reason I made this video, the actual reason, which is the blues lick of blues licks that I think everyone needs to know, because once you've got it under your fingers, it's forever an addiction. Something that you just cannot get rid of is this motherfucker right here. I played it with double stops, but let's not do double stops. Let's make it what it actually should be, which is. Now this is a tricky little lick. It's what you would normally play is so we're on the 12 and 14. And we're bending the 14 of the G string. And we're coming back down to the 12 on the G string. And then ending on the 14 of the D string. Now what we want to do is do a little interesting one. We go 14, 14 on the G string, and back down to the 14 on the D string. So bom, bom, bom. Which means rolling this third finger. Then we're playing the 12 on the G string. And then we're going to hammer onto the 13. Now, to give you a little bit of background as to why this is bluesy, it sort of alludes back to where we started at the beginning of the video. We're playing a major chord with a minor seventh. So we're playing a major chord now, but we've got a minor, which would be 14, 12, 14. That is a minor interval, right? Because you have root third and fifth, and that makes up a standard chord. The root and the fifth is always the same. It's the third that makes it minor or major. That's what determines it. So you've always got that. That's minor. That's major. Minor, major. Minor, major. Now, if we're playing, that's minor. If we're playing that 13 now, that is major. And now when I start playing the things, you go, whoa, that sounds weird, that sounds interesting, it's just essentially a minor pentatonic, but with a major note in there, major third. And that is my blues licks lesson for the day. So we've got and all kinds of interesting thoughts and things. Nothing too comprehensive, I suppose, but you know, I just wanted to rattle off some of my thoughts and feelings towards the blues, and you know, throw some things at the wall. If any of them stick, you know, enjoy. If none of them stick, fair enough. Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you made it to the end, big round of applause, because I know I ramble a lot. And yeah, appreciate you listening. Thank you for listening.